Hey, everybody. On tonight's Power Perspective, perspectives that give you power, I want to talk about something that I'm seeing a lot of, okay? And it comes from this imbalance of head and heart. Everybody has this question of, trying to find the right balance between following your head and following your heart when it comes to love. And here's the thing about that, because people say, well, when it comes to love, you have to follow your heart. I want to follow my heart. And the problem is a lot of times people are following their quote unquote heart at times when your heart shouldn't even be involved. When it comes to the balance of head and heart in the early stages of dating, why is your heart even involved? So there is a balance. No, you're not supposed to completely follow your head. And no, you're not supposed to completely follow your heart. And everybody who is imbalanced, where they always follow their head or they always follow their heart, these are the people who are going to end up in bad situations. Okay? And relationships that don't work for them. This does not work. Following your head only and being super in your head when it comes to relationships and being super in your heart, it does not work. Okay? So if you're a person that's been doing that, let me ask you this. How has that been working for you? Okay, it doesn't work. So I'm going to give you the power perspective that's going to help you when it comes to that. When you are in the early stages of dating, okay, the first few months, why is your heart involved? That's the problem. That is the time where your head is supposed to be involved. And if a person can't get past your head, and I'm talking about, I'm not talking about if you have issues, okay, where the issues in your head are not real issues, they're just in your head. That's another underlying problem, okay, from unhealed wounds that you need to resolve. The same way, if you're completely following your heart, that comes from an unhealed wound and an internal issue. Okay. When you first begin dating someone, they should be able to get around your head, meaning this should make sense, because what you'll find with people who quote unquote follow their heart immediately when they meet people, very early on, these are people that tend to, if you look at the situation, it won't make sense. They will be looking for love and a relationship in a situation that doesn't make sense to be looking for love and a relationship there. Like a person who does that will meet someone who's unavailable or who says they don't want a relationship right now or whatever, and they will end up in a situation where they're looking for love and a relationship from that situation. Does that make sense? That's just like if I meet someone who is homeless on the street and I'm looking for $1 million from them. It's like, you can't get that here. So sometimes what's happening and why these situations go the way that they go and the person ends up being shorted and not getting love and not getting the relationship that they want is because they're in the wrong place to be looking for it, period. You cannot get love in a relationship from a person who doesn't want a relationship. You cannot get love in a relationship from someone who doesn't want to love you. You see, so it doesn't make sense. And just as much as that doesn't make sense, me going up to a homeless person and expecting to get a lot of money out of them, it doesn't make sense going up to people who are not in the space to give you what you're looking for, but you're there somehow expecting to earn it or expecting to get it later. And, this comes from unhealed issues. When you meet people, they should be able to get around your head in the sense that it makes sense. This should make sense from the very beginning from your head. Okay. And so you're supposed to be following your head until it is appropriate to go deeper into that relationship and follow your heart and begin to get your heart involved. But There's a lot of misconceptions about true love that are out there that mix people up, and it has them thinking that somehow this is going to work. And even though it doesn't work for 99% of the people that are doing it, it's still for some reason romanticized, and people really are, coddling their wounds by believing this. But it just doesn't make sense. So that's the balance. The balance is you follow your head until it makes sense to follow your heart. Okay? It's not, and getting in relationships, and people think that they romanticize this and they think that this is a good thing, right? Like, I'm a loving person and I'm ready for love if I'm out there just with my heart in my hand, ready to hand it to the first person who walks by and winks at me. That is equally as irresponsible with your heart, because a lot of times people feel like other people are being irresponsible with their heart and their feelings, and they're not realizing, no, you're being irresponsible with your heart. You're treating it like it is something that cannot be broken, like it is something that has no value, that you should go around the first person that you think you like, the first person who seems nice, the first person who pays you some attention, and you want to offer them your heart, something as valuable as your heart. And people don't see the imbalance in that. That would be like me having money. Now look at this. This is what it's like. I have a lot of money, right? Because you say you have a lot of love in your heart, right? People who do this, they say they have a lot of love in their heart. So, okay, let's make this a real world example. So I have a whole lot of money, but I just walk around just giving it away all day. And I just give money away all day. And I don't want to do anything else. Like, there's no balance to it. I'm not investing in anything that matters. Like, I'm going around giving money to, people on drugs who are just going to squander it and possibly kill themselves with it. I'm going around giving it to little children outside that are riding their bikes. I'm actually going around putting some in the yard to some puppies that are in the yard. I leave a little bit for the ducks, by the pond. Wouldn't this look imbalanced? Because I'm giving money in places where ducks can't even use it. And this is all I want to do with my time. And wouldn't you see how this would be something that would be extremely imbalanced, right? And it wouldn't make sense. Like, why is she giving money to the ducks just because she has a lot of it? Or why is she putting, giving money to people who are, strung out on drugs and possibly going to kill themselves with it? It's the same thing when you go around giving your heart and your love to people that you have no business giving it to. Like, why is she going over there giving her love to this man who clearly is emotionally unavailable, or says he doesn't want a relationship, or this person? Like, it doesn't make sense. Okay, so that's how you create that balance. You are in your head until it makes sense to be in your heart. But even still, you need to do the work that you need to do within yourself to be able to know when you're just in your head and you shouldn't be, like where you're seeing problems or red flags that aren't there, and when there really are red flags. Someone who you're accusing of, feel like they're lying when they've never lied to you before. You have no reason to really think that. And if someone else heard what you thought was a lie, they wouldn't think it was a lie. Okay, because you have some type of issue that you've unresolved issue from when you were lied to before. I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. I'm talking about coming from a healthy, balanced place, where you're able to be objective, where you're able to look at things with clear eyes and see what it is. And then you get your heart involved. And here's another component that people don't think about, okay? Because women have this thing where they really think it's noble somehow to just be overly emotional and in your emotions and in your heart so much. And they feel like that makes you a woman and that makes you loving, and, and it's imbalanced. Okay. But this is what people don't realize. It's the same way that society programs men to think that it's okay to be overly sexual. Okay, you have to understand this comes from programming that creates imbalanced men and women. So you have imbalanced women who couldn't think to save their lives because they're super emotional and they think it's a virtue. And then you have that with men who, and women, it's easy for women to see this in men, and it's easy for men to see it in women. It's easy for women to see how men can be over sexualized and how imbalanced that is. It's like, come on, like, you need a balance of your emotions. You need to bring in, another aspect of yourself, and you can see how that's imbalanced. But when it comes to themselves, women are not able to see that. They're not able to see that it's imbalanced just the same way for them to be overly emotional. That's not a virtue. That doesn't make you a woman. It doesn't make you a great woman to walk around being so emotional that the most common of sense is unavailable to you. Okay, where you're doing things that make absolutely no sense. You're making relationship judgments that make absolutely no sense because that's how you feel. Men know how imbalanced that is, and they use it to their advantage. And some women use the weakness and imbalance that men have with sex to their advantage. Okay, but it just makes you it's easy to manipulate or to use a woman who's overly emotional. It just is, because why? She don't need to make sense. All you have to do is make her feel whatever. It could be a total lie. It doesn't matter. If she feels it, she believes it, and she's going to go off those feelings. So as a man, if you wanted to play her, it's like taking candy from a baby, because she can be completely delusional. You can have her think anything because she's not thinking. She's not capable of thinking. She's too emotional. So even if this makes absolutely no sense, just make her feel like it does. It's simple. You can get money out of her, sex out of her, and you can do all of this if you want to while you have somebody else. And you can do very little promising. You can tell her you're not ready to be in a relationship. You can tell her you're not going to be. It doesn't matter, and you'll still get all the benefits. Because that's what emotional thinking does. That's what following your heart does. And just the same way, when people try to act like following your heart, using your head in the early stages is shutting you off from love. That's a complete lie. Okay, it's a deception. Following your head is only the same thing as you locking your car doors, locking your house doors. It's the same thing as why you don't leave your purse in the cart and just go shop all around the store and then come back to it later. It's the same thing. It's not any more. Okay, if that's the case, if you think that you're being closed off and you're not loving enough, if you don't just give your heart and leave yourself open and available to any and everybody who wants to abuse it, then that would be the same as saying that you're too closed off from the world when you're locking your doors. Why are you locking your doors to your house? Why are you protecting your purse? You're being too closed off from the world. No, it's acknowledging that people exist that don't deserve your heart. There are people who exist who will come into your house and murder you, who will take your things. There are people who will snatch your purse if you leave it in the cart. These people exist. There are people that you cannot give your heart to. It's just common sense. It's not being closed off or unloving or any of that. It's just common sense in the world that we live in. We have to understand we live amongst other people, lots of other people with all different problems and different issues, and they will do different things. Some steal, kill, rob, break hearts, manipulate, use. There's all kind of people in the world. So because of that fact, we don't go around leaving our doors unlocked and leaving ourselves openly, just readily available to be taken advantage of. So it's the same thing with your heart. So leading with your heart is just as illogical as saying that you're being too closed off and untrusting of the world when you lock your doors and when you guard your purse when you go out shopping. It's just the necessary precautions we take because we live in the world amongst other people. We have to evaluate people. We have to know which people to let in our homes and which ones not to, which people we can leave our purse around and which ones we can't. We have to learn these things. And it's the same way you have to learn which people you can give your heart to, which people you can be emotionally open with. without being destroyed by them. Okay? So I see this is something I have to work people through in coaching so many times, like where this imbalance is there, and then we have to work through the underlying issues that are causing them to not naturally be able to just operate. And that's something I do. So if you're struggling with that, come on down. I can definitely help you with that in coaching, and I can tell you what the underlying things are, and I can help you heal them. Okay? So if you're considering that, the link is in the description box below. And I hope it was beneficial. Talk to you later. Bye.